Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your guest co-host, Cody Durden. Today, we're going to talk about UFC Des Moines, Cory Sandhagen versus Deiveson Figueiredo. And my friends, it's going down this Saturday night live at the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines, Iowa. You got Cory Sandhagen. We used to call him the Output King, taking on the former flyweight champion, Deiveson Figueiredo, in an all-action main event. And without further ado, let's get right down to business, because in this main event, we got Cory Sandhagen. He's 17-5, taking on Deiveson Figueiredo, who's 24-4-1. Currently, they got it. Cory Sandhagen minus 500. The comeback on Figueiredo plus 375. So, Cody, the former flyweight champion, he's been doing this thing at bantamweight, 3-1, and the only loss was a very good fight against Piotr Yan. But listen, man, they're not giving him a chance at all. They're saying Sandhagen minus 500. How do you feel about that?
Man, I think the odd makers got that right. I think Cory Sandhagen, his wrestling defense has gotten a lot better since he fought TJ Dillashaw, and I see him sticking and moving, using his footwork, keeping the distance. And what we've seen out of Figueiredo the last fight, I guess it was, Cody Garbrandt. He was kind of like stuck here in the first round, and I just see Sandhagen, I don't see him getting a finish, but I see him definitely, dominating, staying on the outside and stopping the wrestling. I just think he's overall a better fighter right now.
Yeah, listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. In 2025, this has been the theme. If you were born before 1990, I need a damn good reason to pick you against someone born after 1990. My boy Figgy, born in 87. Listen, he's a legend, man. I mean, like, he was one of the most destructive flyweight champions, like insane one-hitter quitter, beautiful guillotine. And from time to time, you'd see these brilliant performances. But the issue was the guy cut so much weight to make flyweight that, like, he'd be very inconsistent. Like, one fight, he's having an absolute all-time war with Moreno. The next fight, Moreno, like, easily schools him. It's like a night and day difference. So I'm glad he moved up to 35s. The Rob Font fight, he did his thing, the Cheeto fight, the Garbrandt fight. But like you said, there were a couple sketchy moments in all those fights where you feel like someone like Sandhagen could possibly take advantage with the height, with the reach, with the output. I am kind of worried about, sometimes in these big fights, I don't know what it is. I don't want to say Sandhagen chokes in big fights, but sometimes he really lets me down in big fights. And do you remember the night you fought Jake Hadley in Nashville? Did you by chance get to stick around for the main event between Cory Sandhagen and Rob Font?
I didn't. No. I watched it though, and Sandhagen got hurt that fight, and he still pulled out the win. So I thought that was and listen, Rob Font struggles with wrestling. We know that, but Rob Font he still has wrestling. He still has jiu-jitsu. I think it just shows the level at what Sandhagen brings. He got injured that fight, a bad injury. I forget what it was. I think it was his elbow or his hand, but he still won every round.
Yeah, listen, it was dominant, but man, I just know for a fact, because I was thinking about going, Nashville, only a 4-hour drive from Atlanta. I would have went to see you fight Jake Hadley. And then if I would have stuck around for that main event, because when you're buying tickets to an event, you just want to see blood, unless you got money on the line, right? You just want to see blood. And yeah. I agree with you in terms of, like, listen, he was injured. He had to work around it. He still dominated every single round. But Jesus Christ, when you're putting up Tyron Woodley numbers, I mean, and I'm dead serious about this, right? Like 5 rounds and you land 34 significant strikes. Like, that's just not what the fans want to see, man. And after that, Umar is obviously a stud, but yeah, I don't know. I got questions about Sandhagen in terms of, like, I wrote a little something on Twitter that saying that I was questioning if he's still been like the same killer since the Edgar fight, which was in 2021. A bunch of different people were commenting, hey, he's in Colorado, he's doing mushrooms, he's kind of mellowed out a bit, he's a peaceful guy. Now, that's all speculative, that's all narrative. We'll see what happens when they get in there. But look, both of these guys at the best of their ability. Deiveson has a big moment upside, like finding that one big shot, that guillotine, that takedown, whatever the case may be. But Cory's probably going to be dictating the minutes, lots of volume, lots of output. At least that's what he used to do back in the day. I'd love to see him get back to that style now, and we'll see. I'll also go with Cory, but I think at these odds, it's probably a dog or pass situation, but I'll pick Cory as a pure pick. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Reiner De Ridder. He's 19-2, taking on Bo Nickal, who's 7-0. Currently, they got it Bo Nickal minus 330. The comeback on Reinier De Ridder is plus 270. Did I see you post a video of you and Bo Nickal at ATT? Do I remember that correctly?
I may have. I'm not sure. Yeah, it might have been a while back, but yeah, he's been down here. He was down here for since I got down here in April, the beginning of April. He was down here, so he was down here working with Johnny Emblem, and man, I like what I see. And I'm telling you right now, Bo Nickal finds a way to win, and he picks the easiest route possible for him to win. So I don't see him going in here, rolling around on the ground with De Ridder. I see him, keeping it stand up. I think De Ridder's not going to be able to take him down, and you might see a big shot from Bo Nickal because he showed in the past that he's got power, and this is an interesting fight, man. And I can't wait to see. But I'm going with Bo Nickal.
What's it like seeing a world-class athlete like that train? Because, coming into MMA, he was like 1-0 when he got his first Contender Series call, right? So he's literally been built from the ground up in MMA, but obviously, about his amazing wrestling background. What's it like seeing an elite athlete like that up close and personal, in terms of the practice room?
Man, just, knowing, how young he is in the sport, and, how fast he's evolving by not taking down Paul Craig in that fight, not going back to his roots and keeping the whole fight standing. That shows, he's not running off adrenaline. He's not running off of emotions. He's there. And like I said, man, he finds a way to win, and he takes the easiest route possible, the safest way possible. So, man, it's awesome. The guy, if he gets through De Ridder, we might see a big jump in competition after this.
Yeah, when I got the chance to watch the tape on Bo Nickal, I was very impressed all over again, including the Paul Craig fight. I know, but let me explain myself, guys. So earlier on, when I was talking to Cody about that fight, when he fought Hadley, the main event was Rob Font, Cory Sandhagen. The whole crowd was booing. They wanted to throw tomatoes in the crowd. Why is that? Because when you pay for tickets, you want to see blood. That's just the bottom line. Like, unless I got money on the line, I want to see blood if I'm at the arena. So let me say this. When I went back and I rewatched the Bo Nickal versus Paul Craig fight a couple days ago, and, this is not a live event where I got my friends over and we just care about excitement. No, I'm just watching this in terms of scouting of, like, is this a guy I can trust with my money? And let me tell you right now, right here on Half the Battle, hell yeah, this is a guy you can trust with your money, because in that Paul Craig fight, dude, he fought so smart. You got to understand, Paul Craig is a guy that finished the current UFC light heavyweight champion, Magomed Ankalaev, finished the former champion, Jamal Hill, finished top 5 contender, Nikita Krylov, finished current heavyweight, Kennedy Nzechukwu. Paul Craig is one of the most opportunistic submission finishers in the entire sport, right? And interestingly enough, Cody, both Paul Craig and Reiner De Ridder, they have the exact amount of submissions on their record as each other. Like, they both each have 13 wins by submission. So that these guys will sell out for that sub, but it's a little different because Paul Craig a little bit more of a guard puller, whereas Reinier, if he takes your back or he gets on top of you, he's devastating. But let me say this, back to the Paul Craig fight. So why was I not like underwhelmed like everyone else? So live, I was underwhelmed. Live, I was like, fuck, I want to see some blood. But when I watched it back, I was like, man, this guy's smart. This guy doesn't take any unnecessary risks. And shout out to Paul Craig, because in that third round, Bo Nickal almost knocked him out. Bo Nickal was rocking him bad in round 3. And the fact that Paul Craig was still standing, a credit to you, kid. And you got to remember, Bo was only 6-0 at the time. Now he's 7-0. We talk about it all the time. These fighters with 10 or less pro fights, you're going to be seeing these big incremental, level ups every single time you see them fight. And then you take into account that this isn't just your average 7-0 guy. This is a 7-0 guy who was like a 3-time D1 All-American, right? So
yeah,
he's
used to the lights, man. He's used to being on the big stage, just at a different sport. So yeah, I mean, I'm impressed with Bo, and I think, either we're going to see a knockout or a unanimous decision. I don't see any submissions.
Yeah. Now let me give Reinier De Ridder a little credit because, a lot of fans Half the Battle know that for the longest time, we were on the Fade Kevin Holland World Tour as recently as UFC 311 when Reinier De Ridder fought Kevin Holland plus 125 odds, I believe it was. And yeah, listen, I bet on Reinier De Ridder there. Great job. That's a big middleweight against a welterweight, and was just a great matchup for him. But here, I don't think, like I was saying before the Reinier Holland fight, one takedown and the fight is over shortly after. Go back and check it. Those were my exact words. Whereas here, I don't think Reiner's sniffing a takedown on Bo Nickal unless he like badly hurts him or something. But like Reiner's kind of goofy standing, man. So what I think from Reiner's point of view, he's kind of like, so he's like 6'4". He's gonna be the longer man here. I'd like, if I'm thinking where Reinier could have success on the feet, obviously keeping it along, but I want to see some like body kicks from Reinier to kind of make Bo hesitant to try to close that distance. Because if we're talking about pure hands, I think Bo's got way better hands than Reinier De Ridder. But if Reinier can possibly use some kicks, start kicking those arms a little bit and just kind of keep him at range, I don't know. It might be interesting, but ultimately I do agree with you. I think Bo closes that distance, and whether it's just landing the better shots throughout the 3 rounds, whether it's actually hurting Reinier De Ridder, I don't know. But I am interested to see if this hits the mat at any point. You never know. This is an MMA fight, but yeah, I'm gonna also go Bo Nickal here for the dub, man.
Nice.
Now, featured bout in the welterweight division, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio. He's 30-8, taking on Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez, who's 18-5. Currently, they got it. Ponzinibbio minus 115, Rodriguez minus 105. Man, I'm so happy you're on the show because we're just rattling through ATT guy. After ATT guy, does Ponz still train with y'all?
Oh yeah, every day.
What's he looking like? Because one thing I've always said about Ponz, man, when you talk about heart, you talk about Ponzinibbio. That dude is literally willing to die in there. So yeah, is it cool seeing like he's getting towards 40 years old, but he's still as hungry as ever.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for us guys that are competing in the UFC at the highest level, there must come an end, And I thought I saw the end of him before, but he surprised me. Like the last fight, the guy beat Jared Gooden pretty convincingly,
You talking about Carlston Harris?
Yeah. Harris beat Jared Gooden pretty convincingly, and then Ponzinibbio goes out there and pitches a shutout. So it was like, even though Rodriguez is a beast, man. I mean, it's a hard one to pick against, but I'm gonna have to go with my teammate, man. You got to stand behind your team, and but I'm gonna leave it to you to decide.
This is a tough one. It really is, because if we're talking prime for prime, I mean, it's not even close. Ponzinibbio easily, because everyone, well, not everyone, but people that have been around the sport for a while know that Ponzinibbio was on a 7-fight win streak. He was scheduled to fight Kamaru Usman, and then he had that unfortunate health scare. Like he had I believe, don't quote me on it, but it was like some kind of bacterial infection that spread and became like, he almost died, right? It got to the point where there were interviews where Ponz was talking about maybe I should drop to 55, which like, if you've seen the guy, he's a big boy. He ain't dropping to no 55. So that's how like diminished he was when he first came back. And I just haven't seen the same guy. Look, as far as heart is concerned and will to win, that there's just something about Argentinians. I don't know if you've ever dated an Argentinian girl. I'll just tell you this, you won't win that argument. And, obviously Argentinian males are very stubborn too, as you can see, not just with Ponz. Look at that kid, Francisco Prado. Yeah, he might be like 1-3 in the UFC, but this guy just won't go down. He just will not take no for an answer, right? Like, so Argentinians come to fight, man. Look at Esteban Ribovics, right? Win, lose, or draw. This dude bites down and fights, right? So Ponz, man, in his prime, those calf kicks, unbelievable. The jab. And when he would find the home for that straight right hand, oh my God, bodies would hit the floor. But there was an issue with Ponz in his prime that is still an issue. And that is that, kind of take one to give one, right? He was always hittable, but now that he's a little bit older, you're starting to see bigger reactions, right? You're starting to see him get wobbled more. It dropped more. It's unfortunate. But that being said, on the other side with D-Rod, we're seeing a decline from him as well. That's just the bottom line. And from him, it's a little different. With Ponz, it's more so of like maybe a bit chinny. But with D-Rod, I actually feel like he doesn't have the same heart that Ponz has, right? Like he's not he doesn't want it as much as Pons does. But my issue, Cody, is I think D-Rod has a lot more volume than Pons at this stage in their respective careers. And I think that if neither guy's getting rocked or neither guy's getting knocked out, it could be one of those split decision type fights where, Chris Lee's scoring it for one guy, Adelaide Bird for the other. You have no idea who Ron McCarthy, was Ron McCarthy on his phone or was he actually watching the fight? You just have no idea. So you got Ponzinibbio. I'll go D-Rod. I think it's a true 50-50 fight. May the best man win. Now, this one I'm very much looking forward to because in the bantamweight division, we got Montel Jackson. He's 14-2, taking on Daniel Marcos, who's 17-0. Currently, they got it. Montel Jackson, minus 200. The comeback on Daniel Marcos is plus 170. Cody, I love this fight because this kid, Montel Jackson's been in the UFC a long time paying his dues. And everyone always talks about, his hands are as big as Ngannou. Like, that's actually true, which is crazy. But like for,
wow.
A guy that's a bantamweight, right? And this dude is 5'10" with a 76-inch reach, right? You don't see stuff like that. So like even in that first loss he took to Ricky Simon, right, where Ricky like takes his back and does all these things, like, bro, like the length of Montel's arms are so long that you can't attack no chokes on him. You can't do shit to the guy, right? Like even if you get on top of him, you're not going to land any ground and pound. You're just going to neutralize him. That's it. So like the upside to beating Montel is basically neutralizing him, whereas the upside to Montel beating you is, this guy actually fought your former opponent, JP Baez, and he set a record for the most knockdowns in bantamweight history in that fight. Now I know it took you about a minute to get rid of him, but Montel put a clinic on him for 3 rounds, right? It's so interesting how it works, right? Like certain guys will go 3 rounds with someone, different guy will knock him out in the first round. Like that, this sport's amazing. But I think that Montel Jackson is supremely talented. He just doesn't fight that often. It's like
you gotta have power, bro. You gotta have that. Dude, I broke JP Baez's nose and his orbital in one punch, bro. You gotta have power. Yeah. And my thing is, I don't know when that power's coming.
Well, hopefully June 14th in Atlanta, baby.
Hey, let's go. I can't wait. But man, yeah, Jackson's great fighter, very long, stays on the outside. And Marcos, man, he's game. He's a game fighter. He's put on some great, exciting fights. But I'm gonna have to go with Jackson right here at the negative 200. I think Jackson might be able to connect, and put him down. But this is a fight where I didn't know who to choose because. I mean, I don't think the lines do it justice. I think it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, listen, I've been very impressed with Daniel Marcos, man. I also feel like where he's from, Peru, they've been emerging, man. Like you're fighting a Peruvian, you know what I'm saying? Like that country, man, like they used to be a laughing stock back in the day, bro. Now, like they're producing some real talent. So you love to see it. And this kid, Daniel Marcos, I think my favorite part about his game is probably his fight IQ. Like this guy, fights behind a good jab, good calf kicks, comes out there with game plans. If he needs to take you down, he's going to take you down. But my issue I've had is he's kind of a gasser, and not even in fights where he's fighting at like a balls to the wall type pace where it's like inevitable that you're going to slow down. Sometimes when he's picking guys apart at a kind of measured pace, every time that late second or third round comes through, there's been some kind of optics that haven't exactly been the best. And against Montel Jackson, who's as seasoned as he is, he's battle tested, he's taken his setbacks, he's bounced back. I actually, as much as I like Marcos and I think he's a great prospect, I think Saturday night is first L time for Daniel Marcos. I don't think anyone is exempt from that first L unless your name is Habib or John Jones. And if they stick around long enough, they'll take their first L's too. I'm going Montel Jackson for the dub Saturday night. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Serhiy Sidey. He's 11-2, taking on Cameron Smotherman, who's 12-4. Currently, they got it Sidey minus 135. The comeback on Smotherman is plus 115. So I know you're familiar with Smotherman because he, Jake Hadley was never the same after what you did to him, right? That's just the bottom line. I know it. You know it. I know you're a humble guy, so you might not say that, but I'll say it as an outsider. I watched it with my own 2 eyes. And Smotherman, like, put a boxing clinic on him, for the majority of that fight. Did you get it? You saw that one, didn't you?
I don't think I did. I'm not real familiar with these two guys. I've heard of Smotherman. I might have seen him fight, but remind me of what you were saying.
Yeah. So Smotherman was the guy, Jake Hadley's last UFC fight, right? So Jake Hadley had just beat that Cowlin Loughran guy up a weight
Okay.
class, remember?
Yeah.
And like Cowlin Loughran was like a big favorite in that fight, right? So Jake Hadley
Right.
wins that fight. Everyone's thinking Jake's back. So Jake, he was supposed to fight someone. Then this Smotherman kid gets a short notice opportunity. And Smotherman, he got knocked out by Harlampos Gregorio on Contender Series, who's not the best fighter, but to Smotherman's credit, he got caught in like the first minute. So it's not like he got outclassed or anything like that. He just got caught early on. And that's actually something that happened to Smotherman early in his career too. He had like a loss to this Jimenez guy where like first exchange, he just gets floored. Yeah. So he is a little chinny. Even Jake Hadley had him on skates. But besides that, what he does do well is he's got good hands for MMA. But that's about the extent of it. He's not that well-rounded. I mean, he choked out a guy in his regional scene that I think was like 4-6. So what I'm saying is at the UFC level, the thing that's going to work for this guy is his hands. Now on the other side with Serhiy Sidey, he's a 5'11" bantamweight. So off the rip, that's a very tall guy for 135. And real quick, let me say this before I keep talking. From now on, Cody, whenever I compare upcoming bantamweight prospects, you know who I got to compare them to, right?
Who?
Malcolm. After like scouting Malcolm when you were a pro on your regional scene, because I'd never seen your amateur fights, right? I think the first time I saw you fight was when you were early in your pro career. I think the Devontae Sewell fight, right?
Yeah.
And it was pretty apparent, like, hey, you can stay on this road, man. You're gonna be a UFC fighter one day. With Malcolm, I saw him with headgear, big gloves, and shin guards knocking out Ramondo Scott. I was like, oh my God, like, dude, like I was blown away. I had to interview him when they told me to only interview like the pros in the main and co-main event. So now that he's in the UFC, I compare every bantamweight prospect to him because I think he's the standard. And I think that he would absolutely kill both these guys. That being said, Serhiy Sidey, staying on topic, 5'11", lots of volume, aggressive, likes to go to war. Issue with him, we were talking about in the previous fight, optics. The optics for Sidey kind of suck because every single fight, his face is a bloody mess. So even if he's getting off on volume, the judges are going to see that crimson mask, and that's just not a good thing. And if he starts leaking from his nose, then Cam Smotherman starts popping him with jabs, blood starts flying. It's not a good look. So that's the concern from the Sidey side. The concern from the Smotherman side is that he is legitimately chinny, like wobbles, chicken dances, not the most stable feet, has been stopped more than once. So yeah, I'm gonna go Serhiy Sidey here, but I think it's gonna be sketchy, and I think it has split decision potential, assuming no one gets finished. So I'll go Serhiy Sidey.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna agree with you. Does Sidey know how to wrestle?
A little bit. I mean, look, he's not American. He's from Canada. No disrespect. He's actually half Ukrainian, half Canadian. Like, he doesn't come from a wrestling background. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
But let me see something. Let me look up the stats and see if he's landed any takedowns. I don't think he has. No, he hasn't. And he actually gave up 4 takedowns to Garrett Armfield last fight. Do you remember that last Garrett Armfield fight where it kind of seemed like he might have got robbed a little bit? That was the Sidey guy that we're talking about right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, like first 2 rounds are kind of close, but like third round, Armfield like dominates. You think it's 1-1 going to the third. So you're like, oh, 29-28 Armfield. Nope, there is the other guy's arm. Like,
was it as bad as the Francis Marshall robbery?
I wouldn't go that far, because that was like a once in a lifetime, man. That was my
gosh.
That was real bad, man. Yo, what was, because I know Francis Marshall's your teammate. What was it like? What was like the feeling at the gym after that, man?
Man, I know the guy. I train with the guy, I spar the guy, and it's just like I see him every day, talk to him every day. I was pissed because I know who won and who didn't win when it's pretty one-sided, and I thought he won all 3 rounds, and they gave it to the other guy. I was like, what the hell are they judging? What are they watching? Did they pick the wrong person? Like, man, I would be pissed.
Dude, you know what else is crazy? So the matchmaking, I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but it seems like they're treating it as if Santos won, because did you see who he just got booked against?
Who?
Sodiq Yusuff.
Oh, wow.
That's like a top 15 guy. Like, and
Yeah.
they're fighting up at 55s, which is kind of interesting. I think it might be short notice. I don't know what the deal is, but like, damn, like, so from a fight that lots of people thought you arguably lost, hey, here's Sodiq Yusuff. So that's gonna be really interesting to see. But yeah, on to the
Oh,
next.
yeah.
So next up in the lightweight division, we got a matchup between Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens, legend. He's 29 and 21, taking on Mason Jones, who's 15 and 2. Currently, they got it. Mason Jones minus 525. The comeback on Jeremy Stevens is plus 410. So, Cody, Iowa is known for three things, cornfields, Slipknot, and Jeremy Stevens. And he's finally back in the UFC. This is a guy that knocked out Josh Emmett, a guy that knocked out RDA. Legend of the sport, man. He's had his ups, he's had his downs, but he's been right there in the spotlight against the best of the best. Now he makes his return and he's fighting a tough, grizzled young kid. Well, he's not that young anymore. I think he's 30 now, but his first stint in the UFC, he was a young kid, but he's a tough guy. He's a Welsh gangster, this kid. What do you think about this one, man?
Man, I've seen Mason Jones, and he went 1-2 in the UFC, but man,
Hey, well, real quick,
he's a gamer.
He went 2-2 because I know that shit was a no contest, but he fucked up Alan Patrick. So in my book, 2-2.
Yeah, but man, he's a gamer, dude. Like when I watched him fight, I was like, man, this kid can fight, And then when he got cut, I was like, wow, like that's crazy, But then, he put on a 4 or 5 fight win streak with Cage Warriors, and he comes back in, and dude, I think he's gonna finish Jeremy Stevens. Jeremy Stevens, he's a legend, just like you said, But I think this isn't a bare knuckle fight. This is an MMA fight, and I think he's gonna come out there and find the finish on Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, speaking of bare knuckle, I'm about to give my breakdown here in a sec. That fight fixing loser Jeff Molina was talking about, I'll see you in bare knuckle. After he wrote that, bare knuckle put out a tweet saying, actually, we take it back. We're no longer signing this guy. I'm dead serious. They're like, oh, we jumped the gun. He's no longer with us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy is an idiot, bro. He 100% had everything to do with a fixed fight. It was a fixed fight. 100%.
The lack of self-awareness is unlike anything I've ever seen. Like, it's like, okay, your teammate's injured. You know that we're all going to bank on our teammate being injured. We're all going to make a ton of money. Okay, you get caught for being involved in fight fixing. Hey, you all owe James Krause an apology. Like, bro, what? Excuse me?
So stupid. And bro, I've known I've known so many people that went into fights injured, like with a torn ACL, and the line didn't jump 100 times. People didn't come in and put millions of dollars on first round, TKO. Like, and even if you got the best coach in the game, and your leg's fucked up, you're not going to come in, throw a leg kick, and your leg buckle, and then you come back and throw another leg kick. Like, okay, what kind of game plan was that? The fight was 100% fixed. And I'm telling you this because I have people that are huge gamblers, and they were calling me 3 hours before the fight even happened. They're like, listen, Cody, the line just jumped, and we've never seen anything like this. Check it out. And so I checked it out, and they're like, this fight is fixed 100%. It's just not like there's in gambling. There's so many people behind the scenes that are, that can they monitor their shit because they're not going to lose millions of dollars to people that aren't, doing these things correctly, such as fixing fights. And man, it's 100% fixed. Come out, say, ask for forgiveness. Listen, I fucked up. I fucked up. I learned my lesson. You will never find me doing this again, and move on about it. But don't come out here and say we owe James Krause an apology. Dude, James Krause, fuck James Krause. That motherfucker made it where I can't bet anymore. And I used to bet, $25, $30 here on fights, but he fucked it up for all of us, and he's a piece of shit for that. And James and Jeff Molina, he's not only fucking a scumbag because he had everything to do with it, but he's gay. So there's another thing. No,
I
so
was
it's
hoping
like
you wouldn't say it,
he's a
but
gay
listen,
scumbag. So that's what it is, bro. Like it is what it is, and just come out dude, me personally, I will forgive you. You know, like, dude, you learned your lesson. You got cut from the UFC. You had a hard time, but don't come out and act like you didn't have anything to do with the fixed fight. It was a fixed fight. You didn't just bet on the fight because he had a hurt leg. You knew it was fixed. You told the Discord that it was going to be fixed and that he was going to lose in the first round. And I'm pretty sure Minner made some money off that shit.
fuck
And
yeah, he did.
that's what made it a federal crime.
Yeah. And all right, let me say this. So from my perspective, right, watching the fights and 2 hours before that fight, I see the line go from like, I think, don't call me out, was it like minus like 190 to minus 450 or some shit?
Yes,
And
yeah.
I'm like, hold on a second. What the fuck is going on? Right. And then I watch the fight. And Cody, listen, I have to see people type in, oh, this fight's fixed. Oh, that fight's fixed. And I'm like, dudes, like stop, like Jonah Hill cut. Like, I'll let you know when a fight is fixed, right? Well, I have never felt more dirty watching a fight than when I watched Derek Minner versus Shai Lan. I knew right away. I mean, when I saw the line movement, I was like, what's this? And then the fight, I legitimately felt dirty. I had to take a shower right after. And yeah, Jeff Molina, yeah, there's a reason that BKFC were like, actually, no, thank you. Now back to this fight, guys. So listen, Jeremy Steve.
Back to the fight.
Yeah. So listen, Mason.
Listen. Jones is gonna win. I mean, if Stevens wins, like I'll be surprised. All right, but
Yeah.
I just have Mason Jones in this fight.
No, I got you. It doesn't take a genius to pick a minus 500, but I want to talk about Mason Jones' improvements for those that didn't get a chance to watch his most recent fight. So, if you watch his first UFC stint, I mean, this dude fought some serious competition. Hands David Onama, his first L, beat the living shit out of Alan Patrick, but some weird no contest, whatever. And okay, he loses to Mike Davis in an absolute barn burner back when Mike Davis was hungry. And then he loses to Ludovic Klein, who's like about to fight Gamrot. You know what I mean? So, like, and he was in his like early 20s. So goes back to Cage Warriors, gets 4 great fights. And dude, okay, so certain things are the same in terms of like, yeah, Mason Jones will still go to war. He'll still take one to give one, but he's gotten slightly better about, not eating so many flush shots and whatnot. And also one little weapon he added to his arsenal, he started to throw some spin kicks. And I know at first you might be like, I don't know. He doesn't seem like the most athletic or agile guy. When you watch those kicks, you'll be like, damn, he's probably been drilling them for hours because they're like beautiful technique, like full extension, like to the head. I'm thinking one of these days he's going to catch someone with them. So I'm just saying right now, if he catches Jeremy Stevens with a spinning head kick, do not be surprised. That being said, most likely they're going to stand and bang until one man falls. In that situation, I pick Mason Jones. And if that doesn't happen, they're going to stand and bang until they get a 50K, fight of the night bonus. And in that situation, I also take Mason Jones just because, Jeremy Stevens is at a point now where you're right. He went to bare knuckle where, they don't drug test over there. And Jeremy Stevens all of a sudden hit, like I've seen Jeremy Stevens fight live twice, right? Back in the day, I saw him fight Anthony Pettis in a sold out arena at UFC 136, tough, hard fought split decision fight. Fast forward, I think like over 10 years later, and I see him fight in a youth basketball gymnasium against this Irish jobber named Miles Price for the PFL. And it was an ugly ass fight. It was bad, bro. It was ugly. We were not convinced Jeremy won that fight. And then you fast forward, he goes to bare knuckle. He's fighting fucking Eddie Alvarez, a legend of the sport. All these guys. His physique looks completely different. I'm like, my boy's been harvesting the garden of life, fruits and vegetables. This fight is in Iowa. Jeremy Stevens is from Iowa. Is my boy Jeremy Stevens going to get a little therapeutic use exemption for this fight? Maybe in that case, I think he might last all 3 rounds. But one little thing people aren't talking about, I think this could also be a situation where Mason Jones takes him down one time and submits him. I think that's something people haven't considered. Gamrot did it. Natan Schulte kind of did it. It took more than one takedown with Natan, but Natan still did it. I think that's a possible path to victory for Mason. So I think Jeremy, as usual, KO or bust, and Mason can win by any method. So yeah, give me Mason as well. And real quick, a fan had a question for you. Let me find it. So Hold on. So, oh, here we go. All right. Cody, Dixon want to know, do you think Mason is coming to wrestle over or under 2 takedowns?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you got a guy who's been doing bare knuckle for the last few years. That's the smartest route, you know. If he's smart, he will. You know, he's Jeremy Stevens is he's older. He hasn't been working the takedown defense. He's been working, you know, boxing. That's the smartest route. I would say maybe, maybe, maybe under. I think if he gets him down, he can get the submission, like you said, you know. But is he going to be able to get back up one time? We'll see. You know?
Exactly. So I can't.
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one for me too.
Yeah.
But because, like you said, it could be a 1 takedown situation, but it won't surprise me if it's a 2 takedown situation or no takedowns and they bang. So yeah. All right. Now, before we talk about the next fight, I got to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Bet105. Which book offers fast and easy payouts, no KYC, minus 105 odds on all major sports, and aren't going to play games when it's time to pay out? That's right, Bet105. This weekend at UFC Des Moines, my friends at Bet105 got a special offer for you. So for all my parlay players out there, now listen, I'm not much of a parlay bettor myself, but with this offer, I might have to reconsider. So listen, for everybody that's looking to take Bo Nickal and Mason Jones, so if you just parlay the 2 of them, you know, currently it's about slightly under minus 200. But Bet105 are offering a 20% boost in the odds. Now you get Bo Nickal and Mason Jones for slightly under minus 165. Add another leg to that, and you might be looking at a nice return. Now, of course, we talk about it every single week, and we're going to continue talking about it. Guys, split decision insurance. There's always an example. Last week, if you bet on the Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda fight, I know you were shocked when that fight went to split decision. Actually, you weren't because of the current state of judging, but let me say this. Anyone that knows what they're watching knows that Chris Gutierrez won the first 2 rounds. Castaneda won the last round. That's 29-28 Chris Gutierrez. Somehow that went to a split decision. Now, so let's say you had a Castaneda ticket there. Hey, if you're not, you're going to get 25% of your money back. Hey, that's better than nothing. Okay. So definitely take advantage of the split decision insurance by Bet105. So guys, go to bet105.ag, use my promo code HALFTHEBATTLE, deposit $100 and get $50 in free bets at bet105.ag using the promo code HALFTHEBATTLE. Now let's get back to the show. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Yana Kunitskaya Santos. She's 15-8, taking on Miesha Tate, who's 20-9. Currently, they got it. Miesha Tate minus 135. The comeback on Yana Santos is plus 115. So you got the former Strikeforce and UFC champion, Miesha Tate, taking on, in my opinion, the former Invicta champion, Yana Kunitskaya Santos. Why do I say in my opinion? Because she submitted Tanya Evinger to win the Invicta belt. But there was like some weird thing with the ref. I don't remember exactly what happened. I mean, Tanya tapped, right? But there was something weird and they called it a no contest and Yana had to give the belt back. I was like, oh my God, how bad is that, dude? Imagine like you like it's your dream to become, I guess, you know, she wasn't in the UFC at the time. Her dream was to be Invicta champion. You get that belt wrapped around your waist. Actually, you got to give it back. You know, like, and then she loses the rematch.
Damn. That's fucked up.
I know. Hey, bro, what do you think about this? Because Tate retired a long ass time ago, comes back, you know, hit and miss results. One thing about Tate, though, she got that dog in her. Look, the striking's never been the prettiest. Like, I'm talking about, like, even back in her prime, and I saw her fight Julie Kedzie in Strikeforce, gets fucking floored with a head kick, but, like, comes back and, like, wins that fight. Like, Tate's got heart, but Tate's extremely hittable. And then with Santos, I'm not sure what I think about Santos either. She's been kind of shaky too. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been watching her train down here at American Top Team, and you know, she's been training a lot, like a lot of sessions, even you know, a lot of bag work, working on her kicks and punches. Man, you know, I gotta go with Santos, but you know, all my memories of Tater from the Ronda Rousey days, you know, that's not the same Tate. You know, she's up in age, and I gotta go with the underdog. You know, I can't bet against my team, and Tate's, you know, just like you said, she retired, and I think she had a kid, didn't she?
Yep.
And Santos had a kid as well. So it's like
Santos, I believe, didn't she fight pregnant accidentally against Irene Aldana?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Is that baby all right?
I hope so. But
Yeah.
I think it was the like just beginning of her pregnancy. Maybe she didn't even know. I don't know. But like the timing was weird with when she had the baby, when you backtrack it to that fight.
Well, the thing about it is the UFC, they always give the ladies a pregnancy test. So if the pregnancy test didn't show up, maybe,
Yeah.
but I doubt it.
Yeah. All right. So you're going Santos. Listen, this is a tough one for me, man. It really is because
Yeah.
like these are the worst spots for me.
But
When
you can't go against American top team, bro. I mean, look last week I think it was 5-1. This past weekend it was 7-0. Man, there's a streak. There's a little streak going.
No, I feel you on that. I'm just so bad at capping fights when both fighters are kind of past their prime and you just don't know what to expect. But I want to take Santos here. I just have one big problem. You know what that one big problem is, my man?
What?
42% takedown defense. I'm struggling. Have you seen a big emphasis in wrestling this camp, or has she just been hitting pads?
No, I just saw her, doing the classes, and I saw her hitting the bag one day. But I mean, I haven't been working with her specifically. We have closed rooms here, so. But man, I can guarantee one thing: she's been training, and she's ready to fight. The rooms down here are phenomenal. So when it's a 50-50 fight, man, I always throw American top team in there.
No, I mean, in 50-50 fights, you got to take the dog, but I'm not going to be betting on this fight. So I just want to get my pure pick right.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I'll go Miesha. So one of us is right, but I'm not comfortable with Miesha at this stage, but yeah, I'm just not comfortable with this fight, period. So let's move on. One of us will be right. Now, real quick, before we move on, hey, shout out to my boy Mad Mardigan for the $5 donation. He says, thank you for the Wellmaker lean, Dan. It's a little more than a lean, but you're very welcome, my friend. Wellmaker is the future, and I hope that he fights at UFC Atlanta with my boy Cody, because I bought tickets today. And yeah, I mean, the main event's great, but I want to see these are the 4 fights I want to see at UFC Atlanta. I want to see Buckley and Usman. I want to see Mansur Abdul Malik versus Cody Brundage, because I know that's going to be insane violence. I want to see Cody Durden versus Jose Ochoa, and I want to see Malcolm Wellmaker get matched up on this card. If I can see those 4 fights, I'm a happy man. Everything else is a bonus. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Azamat Bekoev. He's 19-3, taking on Ryan Loder, who's 7-1. Currently, they got it Bekoev minus 380. The comeback on Loder's plus 315. Now, did I hear correctly that Bekoev's also training at HET?
Yeah. He actually stays up here in the dorms with me.
Yeah, is he there right now? You want? Does he want to say hi to the fans?
No, he's in Iowa already. But
Iowa.
yeah. He left yesterday, and I've been watching his sparring, man. He's ready. I'm definitely taking Bekoev here.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, man, because Bekoev, he's paid a lot more dues than Loder MMA wise, but Loder is a former D1 wrestler, right? And he's also a wrestling coach, which I like, because when you think about someone with a D1 wrestling background, but how old is this kid Loder? Let me double check real quick. So he is 33. Okay, perfect. This will actually make my example. Thank God he's not 23, because 23, he'd only be a couple years removed from his wrestling background. Whereas he's 33. So it's been a long ass time since he wrestled D1, but to his credit, him being a coach kind of keeps him integrated in the wrestling, and hopefully for his sake, his chops are still up to par. But I also question, is he, are you trying to be a coach or are you trying to be a fighter? Nothing wrong with either. Just saying, I know Bekoev's trying to be 100% a fighter. I know Bekoev wants to hit the top 15 and eventually be a champion. And Bekoev has paid his dues, man. Like, he's got big power. He can wrestle. The only issue I've had with Bekoev is he's a bit of a gasser. but you have to make him pay for that. And I'm not exactly convinced Ryan can do that. So I think the wrestling can neutralize itself at times, but I think Bekoev being the more well-rounded guy here, maybe he can show off his striking in this matchup. So we'll go Bekoev for the dub.
All right.
Now, next up in the strawweight division, we got a matchup between Marina Rodriguez. She's 17-5-2, taking on Gillian Robertson, who's 15-8. Currently, they got it. Gillian minus 300. The comeback on Marina Rodriguez is plus 250. So Gillian, I felt like she did like a stint in Florida here and there, but not anymore. Is that true, or what's the deal?
Yeah,
Dean
I think
Thomas?
so. Back when Dean Thomas was here, but he hadn't been here in years. But she left with him, and man, she's impressed me. Robertson has impressed me before. I think she's on a little win streak, and she's got submissions. She's just good on the ground, So I'm going to take her. I've seen Rodriguez. I'm not real familiar with her, but I've seen her fight. But I just know what Robertson can do and what she brings. So I'm going to have to go with her.
I'm a huge fan of Marina Rodriguez, especially when she first came into the UFC, man. My expectations for her were so high. Her striking prowess and her confidence when she first came in, man, she got violent with these girls and would really turn up with multi-strike combinations and elbows, knees, everything, the whole bit. Like, I really, really liked her game. But the big issue, man, is that, when you come into the UFC and, like, for example, let's talk about her fight with like Randa Marcos. And let's also talk about her fight with Cynthia Calvillo, because the exact same thing happened in both those fights. 2 of the rounds, Marina Rodriguez easily picking these girls apart like it's nothing, like they're not even in the same league as her. But one of the rounds, she gets taken down, gets 10-8'd. Both those fights are draws. And you think, okay, but that was early in her UFC career. Surely she's fixed that, right? Sure. I mean, she's shored that up. Let's take a look at these numbers, Cody. So let me do a little bit of counting real quick. Okay. So, because this is actually absolutely fucking insane what I'm about to tell you. So give me 1 sec. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What am I about to say happened in the last 11 fights of Marina Rodriguez?
She's got taken down.
She's gotten taken down in all 11 of her last fights. So to me, I mean, listen, Gillian, on the feet, we know what could happen, but like, I really think that Gillian's advantage on the mat here is so dominant. So like, the gap between them on the mat is so wide that like Gillian could even get pieced up on the feet for a little bit before she has to shoot that first shot. Like, if she wants to, I know Marina's on a different level than her striking, but I'm just saying, if she wants to give Marina kind of a false sense of security, right, where Marina is expecting Gillian to shoot right off the bat. Like, I think that's understood. But I think if Gillian comes out here, kind of strikes a little bit, makes Marina think like, wait, she's not going to shoot on me? Okay, now I'm going to let my combos really go. Then Gillian ducks under, gets that level change, takes her down. And when Marina Rodriguez gets taken down, it's like life alert. Help, I've fallen and can't get up. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. But to take it a step further, I think that Gillian Robertson, I believe let me double check that she would be the first to do this. Yes. I'm going to predict right here, right now in Half the Battle that Gillian Robertson becomes the first fighter in the UFC to submit Marina Rodriguez. And I think she does it Saturday night.
All right.
Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Gaston Bolaños. He's 8-4, taking on Quang Bang Lee, who's 8-2. Currently, they got it. Bolaños minus 140. The comeback on Lee's plus 120. So, we're talking about, bantamweight prospect. You already know where my head's at. 2 future victims of Malcolm. I hope one of these guys comes out, wins impressively, takes no damage, and comes to Atlanta and gets knocked out June 14th, So the question is, which one of these guys is going to be the one to do the deed? But I like these guys in terms of excitement, in terms of just watching them fight, but they're not on my future top 15 list, just to leave it at that. Bolaños, a bit of a kickboxing background, kind of transitioned to MMA. The transition hasn't been the prettiest, but credit to him. He's won a UFC fight, and then Quang Bang Lee's trying to get his first UFC win. Decent hands, decent back takes. Man, I could see this fight going a variety of ways. Are you familiar with either of these two?
Dude, I have no idea who they are. I'm sure they're good guys, but
oh yeah, you're good. You're good. All right, let's take. So, hey, which guy should be heads and which guy should be tails?
I don't know. I
I'm
don't
gonna
have a
say
clue.
I'm gonna say Quang Lee heads because he's got a bigger head than this dude. All right, so
We'll go with the China guy.
okay, heads. So we're gonna go with Quang Bang Lee for the upset. May the
Yeah.
best man win.
We'll go with the China guy.
So
The
next
guy from
up,
China.
yes sir. Don't get me in trouble now, bro. No, but listen.
No.
I know. Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Dontel Mays, he's 11-8, taking on Thomas Jefferson Peterson, who's 9-3. Currently, they got a Peterson minus 255. The comeback on Mays is plus 215. So, Cody, obviously, you know both these guys.
Say Mays was 11-8.
Yeah, 11-8.
11. Mays is 11-8.
Yeah, and it might actually be worse than that because one of these fights might have been overturned. Let me double check that.
Oh my God, I gotta take Peterson. What is Peterson?
Hey, wait till I say what I'm about to say. You're gonna definitely take Peterson when I say this. So, Cody, do you remember when Dana White's Contender Series first came out, right? And before it was called Dana White's Contender Series, it used to be called Dana White Tuesday Night Contender. And to take it a step further, they used to have two broadcasts, right? They had the regular commentators, and then they had the Snoop cast with my boy Snoop Dogg and Uriah Faber. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. You can't miss the famous Sugar Sean O'Malley knockout.
O'Malley!
Yo, we need to bring them back and let them do it again.
I want to see, low-key, what I want to see Snoop Dogg and Derek Lewis. I think they would be hilarious.
Oh, look at you. I need to, I'm going to text Dana that.
Yeah, that's the move to make. The issue was towards the end, Snoop Dogg got a little comfortable and I found it very funny, but like I think he was calling fighters like pussy ass bitches, and you can't do that when you're not a fighter. But like hearing it with his the way he talks, I thought it was hilarious. But like obviously not the best look, so they were kind of like, Snoop, I don't know, but hey, it's been long enough. People make mistakes. He didn't pull a Jeff Molina. Bring this man back. But listen, the reason I brought up Snoop Dogg is because he made a very famous quote when he saw Dontel Mays fight against Alan Crowder. He was like, yeah, listen, man, Dontel Mays ain't invited to the gang fight. Like straight up, that's what he said. I was like, damn. But to give Dontel Mays credit, okay, because it's 2025. How long ago was it that Snoop Dogg said that? Let me double check. Okay, the Alan Crowder fight, 2017. So hey, credit to you, man, to stick around from 2017 to almost 10 years later to 2025. Like, hey man, respect. Because just imagine if in one of your fights, let's say Snoop Dogg was commentating and he said Cody Durden wasn't invited to the gang fight. Like, yeah, haha, tongue in cheek, but you come back home to, you come to Atlanta, people are going to be fucking busting your balls about that big time. Like that's not something that you just forget the night of. That's something that lives with you. I mean, we're fucking talking about it 8 years later. So, but hey, to make it to the UFC this long, respect. On the other side with Peterson.
Absolutely.
Peterson, listen, man, kind of on the greener side, kind of figuring things out. Look, when people ask me how would I describe these heavyweights, right? Like, because like you got Aspinall, who's like a, athletic heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
Peterson's kind of like a fat heavyweight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but exactly. Look at his neck. Look at his neck. Look at his shoulders and his head. Godly.
Yeah, this price sucks, but I think he's tougher than Mays and has more ways to win and will dictate the pace. So for that reason, I'm gonna pick Thomas Jefferson Peterson, but yeah, no conviction. And last but not least, in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Ivana Petrovic. She's 7-2, taking on Juliana Killer Miller, who you had an issue with that 11-8 record. Let me know what you think about this record. 3-3. 3-3. Currently, they got it Petrovic minus 230, Miller plus 195. I mean, I guess you could say maybe 5-3 if you can count the 2 wins on Ultimate Fighter, which were exhibition matches. But let me just say this. So here's my thing with Miller. She does seem to have some really good jiu-jitsu. I believe, don't quote me on it. Didn't she like beat Fatima Klein in like pure grappling? Like, hey, that's impressive. And like, seems like she's got a little mean streak when she gets on top of these girls and in any kind of grappling situation. But the stand-up is so underdeveloped to the point where like her last 2 fights were like standing TKOs where she's just like defenseless, like doesn't know what
Oh
to do.
wow.
And the thing about that, you know, you don't want to, I'm not one to downplay someone's aspirations or their dreams, because we all have dreams. We all want to take things far. But like when you're 3-3, right? And that already, you have such long grounds to cover, right? Like you're nowhere near ready. You're in a situation you're not ready for, but then you got to deal with the pressure that comes with fighting at the UFC, which Cody, you know damn well what that pressure is like. But you came into the UFC. How many fights? What was your record when you first came in?
11-2 with 7 first-round finishes in a row.
11-2. Okay, so you had 13 pro fights before you got here. You fought in regional title fights. You fought in other sports, you know, boxing, kickboxing. Like you were seasoned, experienced, came into the UFC ready to go, fight Chris Gutierrez on a week short notice and go to a draw, right? That's someone that's UFC ready. Eventually you made it to the top 15, blah, blah, blah. Whereas this girl is 3-3, coming off 2 standing TKOs where she looks like, you know, I've seen better, you know, technique at a local Taibo class, right?
Yeah.
So when the technique hasn't caught up and now you're questioning yourself and now you have the weight of the world on your shoulders because you're just simply in a situation you're not ready for, it's like, how do you deal with that? And then on the other side with Ivana Petrovic, I would say the line's a little inflated on the sense that, you know, she's no, I get, this isn't disrespectful. This is respectful. She's a good looking girl. Okay. So that gets a lot of respect, you know, but skills wise, I have a lot of questions. Like if I pull up these stats real quick, for Petrovic, you know, the takedown defense is 55%, which we don't want here against Miller. She's been taken down in every single UFC fight, which we don't want against Miller. And she's been taken down against like strikers like Luana Carolina, who when they came into the UFC were not known for any kind of grappling. So that is where I'm like, shit. So yeah, one fighter's 3-3 coming off 2 standing TKOs. Confidence has to be that down in the dumps, but she actually has a grappling advantage. Other girl, 7-2, more dues have been paid, more well-rounded, but she can't stop a takedown to save her life. So, bro, I'm kind of stumped. And usually in a price like this, I'd go with the dog, but like, I can't look myself in the mirror with a straight face betting a 3-3 fighter coming off 2 standing TKO losses. And if she gets smoked here, I'm gonna think I'm the biggest idiot, you know, to ever walk the face of the planet. So for me, I'm a pass. I'll pick Petrovic as a pure pick, but yeah, I don't want no smoke on this betting wise. And are either of these ATT? Do you know any of these women?
No, I just know a buddy of mine messaged me and he was asking me about Petrovic and he told me he's going with her. So I was like, all right. I was like, why? And he's like, because she looks better. I was like, well, what the fuck? Oh, that's stupid, you know? But yeah, I mean, 3-3, coming off 2 knockouts, and Petrovic's got the experience, and you know, as she knows that Miller's going to be coming to take her down. I mean, I would steer away from this one, but I would take Petrovic.
Yeah. Now, Cody, before I get you out of here, man, obviously you got a big fight coming up, you know, in Atlanta, Georgia. How many UFC fights have you had? I think this is your 13th or 14th.
12 UFC fights. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is your 13th UFC fight, and you get to fight in Atlanta, Georgia at the State Farm Arena, formerly known as Phillips Arena, you know, for us old school fans. But man, how exciting is it not just to get that homecoming, but against a young, hungry stud who's going to come to fight you in Jose Ochoa?
I love it. I welcome it. You know, the more dangerous they are, the better I show up.
Yeah. And like, is it exciting knowing that, you know, this guy's not going to try to hump your leg and make the crowd boo. This guy's not going to run away from you. Like, this guy's going to come to fight you. And like, like it's going to be there's going to be truth revealed that night. You feel me?
Yeah. I mean, he's going to come and try to rear body kick me, rear teep kick me, and throw a bunch of kicks and run and just, you know, every time he tries to throw a strike, he crashes. So it's going to be a great fight, man. I can't wait to let my hands go. And, you know, I always show out at home.
Yes, sir.
You've been to my fights at home. Like, they're exciting. And I feed off the energy. And now all I got to do is stay healthy because I'm more than ready right now. I've been down here for a month. I was on a 8-week program weightlifting in February and March, heavy weightlifting, and man, I feel like this is my fight, and I know the odds got to show that it's going to be my fight. I don't even know if they came out yet, but
They did. So the odds makers like you. The odds makers said Cody minus 180, but the early low limit public flipped the line. Now you're the underdog. So they're counting you out just based off the recent results, but they don't understand that, like, Josh Van is a future top 10 guy. Not saying Ochoa isn't, but Ochoa's got to pay his dues first. And I think after he pays his dues June 14th, he's going to have a very bright future.
oh, absolutely. Josh Van, man, he's definitely the future. I'm telling you that right now. I felt it in there. I trained with the best guys in the world. I know what it feels like, and he's no slouch. And he's so young, and he's got a lot of growth in him. And just like I told him after the fight, I was like, bro, you're fucking good, bro, but you gotta stop getting hit so much, or you ain't gonna you ain't gonna have a chin by the time you get to 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But uh, there is no doubt in my mind that Jose Ochoa he's nothing like Joshua Van. He's not short boxer that stays in the pocket, that has a great lower body to stop takedowns like Joshua Van. Um, and Joshua Van, man, he was strong as shit. I'm strong for the weight class. People always tell me I'm strong as hell, but he was just as strong. So, but this fight, it's totally different fight. So I can't wait, man.
You ever shared a card with Malcolm Wellmaker before, like in the NFC back in the day?
I don't know. I'll have to look. I don't know.
Yeah. But that's going to be cool to see both of y'all in Atlanta. He hasn't been booked yet. He better fucking get booked. But
Dude, I think they will book him. Honestly.
good. That makes me happy to
Yeah.
hear.
But
So
who are they going to book him against? Everybody's saying he's a prospect, which, man, I hope they book him. I hope they don't throw him to the wolves. Like top of the division. Let him work his way up.
no, he will. And but let me say this. I think that he, similar to you, paid dues on his regional scene, right? Like he went 5 rounds kickboxing with Walter McCord, 5 rounds MMA on his regional scene. So like he's really paid dues. And yeah, I want to see. Do you remember that kid? Not kid. He's like 38. You remember that guy Carlos Vera who got that big upset earlier this year? He fought this like African fucking ripped dude, and like he head kicks him and then chokes him out in the first round as a massive underdog. Like Carlos Vera's like this short, fat, old guy, and he fucking came through as like a plus 800 dog like a month or two ago. I want him to fight Malcolm in Atlanta because I think Malcolm starches him easily.
Oh wow! Hey, send me that fight if you can after this. I want to
I
see
will.
that.
I will. And then
Go
one more thing, quick fan question. And before you answer this, let me answer this. So Dixon said, Cody, will you please donate a pair of signed gloves to do a giveaway here on Dan's channel? He has the best chat in the game. Before you answer this, Cody, I will not allow a giveaway to happen on my channel until I hit 8K subscribers. You guys did absolutely amazing getting me to 7K. Now we're at 7.2. So I need slightly under 800 more people to subscribe to my channel before we talk about another giveaway. Now, once that happens, if Cody's open to it, I'd love to do it. So Cody, once I get to 8K subscribers, would you be down to do a giveaway?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, there you have it. So the fans, y'all know the stipulations. You get me to 8K subscribers on YouTube, and we're going to give away a signed pair of gloves by Cody Durden. And maybe Malcolm too, since I'm feeling very festive, and that KO was absolutely unbelievable the other night. So yeah, well, Cody, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now on Half the Battle. It's always a pleasure. And I want to word this the right way. I'm very impressed and just like, I'm proud of like the sacrifice you're making, man. You came to Florida. I don't think people understand that your wife and kids are in Georgia right now. You've been in Florida for how long? I know you did a little weekend here and there, whatever, but I'm saying, how long have you been in Florida, dude?
Since the beginning of April.
Exactly. The beginning of April, your fight's June 14th. My friends, that is what we call sacrifice. That is what we call crushing grapes. June 14th, Cody Durden will drink the wine. And I look forward to it very much. Y'all make sure you follow my boy at Cody_Durden on Twitter, at Cody Durden on Instagram. You still fucking with the YouTube at all, or?
Not really. Nah, man, I just been locked in, dude. I haven't been doing shit but training.
Good.
You
I
know,
love it.
Wednesday's my off night. I got to take a break. But tomorrow, 5 rounds of sparring with little gloves in the big cage right here.
Yeah.
So
Is Pantoja in camp yet?
yeah,
Okay, so you're working with the champ.
yeah. I've been doing a lot of sparring rounds with Kyoji too. But now, like this past month was like just basically like just going with the best people. But now we're gearing towards Jose. So southpaws, kicks, shit like that. So can't wait, man. I'm excited. I'm ready, and I'm giving it my all. So it's either kill or be killed. But I'm gonna be smart, and there's gonna be a better version of Cody than standing in the pocket banging.
I look forward to it, man. I mean, you got all the tools everywhere, on the feet, on the ground, wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu, striking, conditioning, god damn it, experience,
Yeah,
and grown man strength. So I look
exactly.
forward to it. I look forward to it. Thanks again, the fans. Y'all know where to follow me. Best Fight Picks on Twitter, Half the Battle HQ on Twitter, Half the Battle podcast on TikTok, Half the Battle pod. I always fucking forget all the names because there's so many. Half the Battle pod on Instagram. And then here on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, leave me a comment when this is over, and help me get to 8K subscribers so we can give away some signed Cody Durden and Malcolm Wellmaker gloves. So until the next time, let's cash these bets.